Yo, welcome back to another episode, man. We got a special guest today, Trey. What's good, baby?
What's up, man? How you feeling, man?
I'm cool, man. So you an author?
Something like that, I guess.
You got
Something
two
like
books,
that.
not just one, two.
Yeah, man.
All right, man. Tell me about the books and what's going on, man. Tell me about your journey.
So this is my new book. This dropped October 29th. It's called Refresh: The Journey to Find Peace. It's pretty much a self-help memoir where I'm just discussing the different challenges I've had in my life.
Okay, as the therapist.
Kind of removing the therapist lens a little bit.
Okay, as an athlete.
As a personal, everyday black man trying to navigate this world.
Okay, as a sneakerhead who's black. Okay, I hear you. Okay.
Always on that, man. So it's been like a couple stories back from even, going on from like when I was younger to adolescent to early 20s, adulthood, fatherhood, all those different themes, man. So this is my third book. I published it with my co-writer, Saint Yvonne, who's also the writer of Coffee and Clarity series. Y'all go check that out. And then before this, it was You Good Fam, Mental Health in the Black Community, Mental Health Keys, and now I'm being more personal with this one.
Okay, so what separates book number 3 from 1 and 2?
Book 1 and 2 are more of my professional lens and trying to make it palatable for everybody to consume.
Define palate.
Meaning digestible, you can understand it at your level. As a clinician in the field, as a licensed clinical social worker, sometimes I write in the academic higher level and it comes on sometimes everybody can't understand that. That's in my field. So the first book, You Good Fam, is where I break that down. Okay. And then Mental Health Keys was kind of like a workbook to kind of work. Keys. Yeah, you got keys. Okay. Work through those different things. But then I wanted to do something more personal with this book and Refresh Journey to Find Peace, because I think a lot of the themes in this is normal stress stuff that we deal with on a daily basis that we don't know affect us. And we just kind of say, okay, that's life. Okay. And so I wanted to kind of tap into that. So you'll see some more personal here with, let's say, about 60% personal. No, let's say 70% personal, 30% clinical coming in there.
So when it comes to writing a book that's so personal, right? How do you deal with the people that are a part of your story and how they feel about what you've written? So everything in here that I've written and talked about, I've had conversations probably with those people. Names are protected in there, of course, because I want to make sure that I protect my folks. So depending on where you're at in my life, you might tell who was who, but everybody's real names are kind of excluded in that aspect. Now, some of my loved ones there who are passed away, of course, I haven't had that conversation, but like everybody else is, some of that stuff I talk about in my book, like say the divorce challenge, my parents, we've had one-on-one conversations. Okay, so real sit down, what happened leading up to whatever. Okay.
So they know.
Okay.
They know.
Okay. Did you have talks with them before writing the book? Or were you just like, hey, I got to get this off my chest. This book number 3, how do I give people something that they wouldn't expect, but it could help them?
Did I? Well, I had conversations leading up with them to get to this point to be able to write this book. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So tell me about your process.
So this has been a couple years in the making. I've wanted to talk about these things, but again, I had to find some peace myself before I can get to this journey to actually give it to the public.
So you didn't have peace before the book?
Before writing the book?
Yeah.
Depends on what time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, give me an example.
So let's say this is 2022. So I started therapy in like 2019, 2020. So that was my beginning to find peace. Okay. And starting there. And so, but I had a thought to write something. I just didn't know how it was going to go or how deep we were going to go into. I didn't want to do something personal. Okay. But obviously I can't write about these themes and talk about, how you can work through it or how I worked through it without actually doing the process myself. So yeah, there was a period of time before this I wouldn't have no peace. Okay. So I recently probably just found it, and it gets interrupted a lot sometimes. It gets interrupted a lot, but it's not a place where now it's like where the peace I can get my peace back. Versus one point in time, there was no peace. I couldn't find it at all.
Is peace your responsibility?
To me, yes. Yeah. So all of these things in here, the things I had to work through, even though, let's say somebody may have provided the offense to me, maybe have done wrong to me or maybe it was out of my control, and I had no choice of it. I still had to learn how to deal with that and work through it for my own sanity, and for me to find peace in. Because sometimes, like I tell people sometimes, like, and clients, like, what happens when you are searching for something from that person to give to you, but they don't have the capacity to do so.
Yeah.
So what do you do in that aspect? You want this thing from that person or place or whoever, but they don't have the capacity to do that. So how do you cope with that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think we had separate conversations about some of that type of stuff.
We did.
You know what I'm saying? But that's real.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's one of those things where I had to really work at that, because me and a lot of people be like, every time I talk about this, they're like, I can't see you being that, but I deal with anger a lot. I'm short fused. I've dealt with that all the time. And
Give me examples of anger.
Anger to me is me going off, you know what I'm saying, 0 to 100 really quick, on past time, cussing people out, you know what I'm saying, getting very irate and angry and pulling stuff or breaking stuff down, things like that. And so when I talk about the anger piece, a lot of people don't see that from me. But my close folks, my loved ones, personal, they know that side of me. So that's one thing where I had to learn how to navigate that.
Yeah.
You understand what that, where that comes from, how it's manifesting. How do I take that anger that's up here, that's that person, and say, all right, come here.
Yeah.
Come here. We're not going to get to that level no more. We're not going to keep going to that level no more. You know what I'm saying? Because it's draining.
Do you ever have to reallocate your anger and that energy?
What do you mean reallocate it?
So like you take it from one place and you pour it into something else?
Yes. But in a way that has probably consumed me and burnt me out.
Okay. Example.
So, for example, college, right? Going undergraduate and grad school.
Are we touching on basketball right now? We going to chapter 1?
Nah, that's not even. Nah, that's another piece.
Okay.
That's another piece. But I talk about, like, when I was an undergraduate, I was working 30-some hours a week, commuting, and also taking 19 credit hours.
You sound like a high performance worker.
Yeah.
That's what you sound like.
Yeah, somewhat. But I was doing that, right? But it was for me to cope. So I would work, create in order to deal with the anger, in order to deal with the sadness, in order to deal with the depression, in order to deal with the anxiety, in order to deal with the frustration. At least I know I can go work, get some money. At least I know I can find something in school to do. You know what I'm saying? At least I'm commuting and I can take my mind off of there. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I channel it there. But then that wasn't healthy either, because then that would burn me out.
So is there such thing as too much coping?
Too much coping?
Because you said you're using that to cope.
I wouldn't say too much coping. I would say unhealthy coping mechanisms.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you never can not too much cope. Like, there's too much going on in the world for not, you know what I'm saying? To not be too much coping. But unhealthy coping mechanisms, right, where we start talking about productivity and work, you know what I'm saying, and how much you're working and how much you're inputting. That channeled all the way into, like, me writing my first book and creating my brands and my businesses. That was me trying to escape.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Versus, and that's another difference from the first book, second book to this one. This is not me trying to escape.
This is you coming to the present.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is me being present, honest with what's going on, what I've dealt with, and that's what it is.
Okay. Okay. So, chapter 1, you referenced quitting basketball.
Yeah.
Why was that important to have that as the first chapter?
Because I feel like that was my first real test, first real challenge with trying to figure out frustration, anger, my self-worth, my self-value, and playing with this chip on my shoulder. I be in, like, pickup games down the campus and just be playing with this super high competitive nature.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's because where I came from, where I'm, hooping with my partners and my dad and stuff like that. But nah, it wasn't that. It was, as I was in therapy, we was talking about it, and I had one game I was playing. We was hooping, and I came off the court. Mind you, I'm fresh in work, 9 to 5, got off, hoop, doing whatever. And I came back up the road, and I was so self-critical of my performance playing in this pickup game. It wasn't a league game. Wasn't important. It was just
nothing was on the line.
Nothing was on the line.
Yeah, but I couldn't let it go.
Couldn't let it go. I was like, man, what is going? Why? 30 something, right? And talked about me and my therapist. He was like, bro, what are you trying to prove? What are you trying to play for? And it was one of the biggest eye-opening things for me. You know what I'm saying? Because then I realized I'm still trying to prove myself to the JV coach and the varsity coach back in high school. They done went on, did their own thing.
They're not thinking about you.
They're not thinking about me.
Yeah, but you thinking about that.
But I'm still trying to prove cats wrong on the basketball court. Like, I still belong here. You know what I'm saying?
Like some Christmas past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was. I was like, yo, why? Like, I got a family, I got a career. I done wrote my first book already, doing other things, and I'm just like, that makes no sense to me. But again, like, that's basketball is my first love. I wanted to go to the league. I'm not saying I'm the nicest or whatever, but I could hang.
Yeah, and you want what you want.
Yeah, and I wanted what I want. You know what I'm saying? So to have those, and those are one of my most lowest moments. First lowest moments was, dealing with basketball, not making the ninth grade team, getting cut from the ninth grade team, not feeling like I'm good enough to perform with the cats that I've been playing with since rec ball.
Yeah.
Coaches telling me that the only reason they put me on the basketball team was because I was a good person, a good student. You know what I'm saying? To my mom's face, not even just to me, but to my mom's face.
Yeah.
Those are my lowest moments, and my JV coach who just was talked so down to me as a basketball player. You know what I'm saying? Moments like somebody would say, well, you wasn't that good of a hooper anyway. You wasn't this, you wasn't that. And it's like, well, I wasn't, but that still affected my value and my self-esteem with how I viewed myself as a person, but also as an athlete. And I know there's many stories out there of athletes way better than me, way nicer than me that have something that's similar.
Yeah.
So let me put that out. Granted, I'm just a youngin' from Caroline County and playing basketball, JV, and a little bit of AAU. I'm not the top. But this affected me.
Yeah.
This affected me, and it went all the way into my 30s. From
recent.
10, the basketball one is really recent.
Yeah.
Like a couple of years ago, I really got off that cliff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But they're talking about and I've been playing ball since 5. And now I haven't even touched basketball probably in the last 2 years. Not because I don't want to, but because I'm at peace with it.
So you're able to put the rock down.
Yeah, I can put it down and do whatever. I can coach. I don't necessarily have to go through life and say I have to be playing basketball at some point in my life throughout this year, or I feel like I'm not Trey. I can do that. I can move.
What does it mean to be Trey?
To be at peace, I feel like, with where my life is at. You know what I'm saying? And do the things that I love to do and want to do and not be forced to do. And that could be external forces, that could also be internal forces, which would be like me, my own negative self-talk or something like that. That's what it means to be Trey for me. You know what I'm saying? It's to do things that I want to do that makes me at peace, happy, joy, and, you know what I'm saying, makes my family happy too.
So being a therapist who has a therapist
Yeah.
that's writing a book
Yeah.
to help people find peace and give them advice on what they need, how much work did that take?
Took a lot of work. It took a lot of work. So, of course, my co-author who wrote the books, St. Yvonne, he helped bring that story to life. And this was about we started this book last January. No, we started this in January of this year. And it took us about almost 8 to 9 months to get this thing fully published. Prior to that, I've been in therapy for 3 years.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So the themes in this, I had to come to peace with this. Some of this is also recent, like the basketball stuff was kind of a couple years ago, but 2022, like the last person I lost from a family-wise, from grief and loss, was 2020. So some of it is fresh too.
Yeah.
But because I went through the necessary things to kind of work through my own stuff, I'm able to navigate and handle it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we set up, you were telling me grief and loss is a very important chapter that I gotta get to no matter what in the book. Why is grief and loss important to the structure of your book?
I would say the grief and loss piece is very major because that's probably one of the toughest times of my life.
Okay.
And I was like, if you can get through the grief and loss piece and get to the other side of the book, which talks about, a more of uplifting and how to work through other things, then you'll be fine. But the grief and loss piece is very heavy. And I've noticed one thing of us in the Black community around death and loss, sometimes we don't know how to grieve properly.
Yeah.
And we don't know that grief can come in different waves. So grief can come in losing the basketball journey, the basketball career.
Yeah.
Losing the vision of self as far as what I would like to see myself do. Like, loss of goals. But it's also, everybody kind of thinks about grief and loss to loved ones. So I wanted to highlight that too. That the book is really centered around that because really that's probably the most toughest trials of my life. 2018 is probably the hardest time of my life. But from a period of time for 5 years, I lost a loved one each and every year.
So is each challenge a loss in the book?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
No. Each challenge is just 6 challenges. It's a challenge of the things that I felt like I've dealt with going through life. Mm-hmm. When you get to the grief and loss challenge, it's a succession of that timeline, that time period.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back sometimes a little bit into early 2000s and jump back. So it's very condensed, but it's very short to the short and sweet to the actual topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I pulled up to VA for the book release, great party, by the way.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
No, of course, man. I travel for my folks.
Yeah.
My folks. All my folks. I travel for all my folks. New York, VA.
Shout out.
You were saying that this book is really important because you hope it helps the right person. Mm-hmm. Where does that come from?
Me just wanting to normalize these things that we deal with, like I said, on a daily basis that I feel like we go through, but we don't talk about, or we just feel like, it's just life. So I'm not even looking for it to help the right person. I'm hopefully anybody can find themselves in these situations, whether it's grief and loss of loved ones, dealing with a sport that you used to love so much, and trying to navigate what does my life look like after not playing sports. Whether it's dealing with divorced parents, figuring out yourself. I always talk about my faith in this and dealing with that. All these themes because I feel like sometimes we think that it has to be a major event for us to do the work and make the changes.
Yeah.
But
it's time to do the work. It's not.
Yeah. But these elements in this book is like everyday stuff that people deal with. I know somebody can relate to dealing with the sports stuff. You talked about that, the sports stuff and life after sports. Yeah. I know people can deal with the divorce of their parents, loss of loved ones, grandparents. I know people can deal with the understanding their faith walk and what that looks like, dealing with anger, self-worth. Who am I trying to find myself? Like everybody can deal with that. But the thing about it to me is that we just push that stuff to the side. Yeah. Say, that's just life, you guys get through it. But that really affects us.
Because in your quiet moments when you're not pushing through anymore, it's just you and the issue that's not being dealt with. Yeah.
The tone is different.
Yeah.
The tone, the response is different, right? If I'm struggling trying to figure out my career path and I don't know what I need to do, where I'm going to go next, somebody's like, just figure it out, man, it's going to be cool. But if I say I lost my job, then it's a whole different conversation. Why is one higher than the other? Yeah. Because I could be in a dead-end job that I don't like, that I don't enjoy, and I'm miserable. That can affect me way more than just losing my job. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
and losing your job is your family no longer gets support. There's so many mouths to feed. Your family can't depend on you in the house, outside the house. And you as a person and as a man, you may not be able to deal with the pressure that comes with that.
Yeah. But if I'm going to my work and I'm miserable at my job, so I come home and take all that out on my family, then that's just as damaging. Yeah. Because and I'm not trying to compare the two, but then I can go get another job real quick or find something, right? Versus I'm working a job, I'm making the money, I'm providing, but I am taking out my frustration and my lack of happiness on my family.
And why should they have to pay for your
And why should they have to pay for that? Yeah.
So how much of yourself did you discover in this book?
I discovered I tapped into some elements that I did not know I was still dealing with. That still affected me. Like, you know, some of the stuff around the basketball joint, I could still get in, still feel it.
Yeah.
Some of the divorce stuff, I can still feel it, only because some of that is still constant sometimes. But you know, one thing I really figured out is all of this. I also figured out that I was wilding. That, you know, grad school, driving, commuting to Fairfax, working. Don't know what I was trying to chase, but again, that energy of being sad, depressed, or angry, I'm in that grinding. We got to grind it out.
If you found what you were chasing, do you think that would have made a difference for you anyway?
No. Not that time. Not at that time. Because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even put a finger to it. It's stuff that we write in the book where I'm sitting reflecting back and we going through, like me and Saint was working through it.
Saint's your co-author?
Co-author, yes. And we writing and we recalling the different events. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, yo, some of it I remember, you know, streamlined. Some of it I don't. But then some of them getting revelations, like, you know why you did that is because of this.
Yeah.
You know why you was doing that was because of this. So the stuff that I did in grad school to become a social worker, I would never tell a new social worker to do that.
Yeah.
Never.
Can we have an example?
Yeah, so I was going to grad school, where's that? Commuting to grad school on an hour and a half up, hour and a half down.
Yeah, so that's 3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours to grad school. In the midst of commuting an hour out from my hometown to do my job, shoot from there, hour and a half up the road to class, and come back.
So a little bit under 6 hours just in traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We just gonna grind it out. And then that turned into, okay, well, I gotta quit my job and stop working. That affected me, you know, financially. Trey, we gotta grind out, we're gonna get the degree, and that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things I always tweet about is like, yo, social work still owe me. Because I gave up a lot in order to get the degree, and I still ain't recouped yet.
Yeah.
So, but then while you're talking, I'm like, yo, it was wilding. Why are you putting yourself through that? And why did you? And it just coming back and working through it. And really figuring out, okay, maybe you was depressed during that time.
Do you think as a therapist it's hard to accept that you too go through depression? Because reading it in a book and experiencing it, a lot of people don't like to acknowledge when they are there in the shoes.
I'm a type of person though, man. I'm always self-evaluating myself. Okay. I'm super hard and critical on myself anyway, by nature. Once I accepted that that's what was going on, that's what it is. So it's not hard for me to acknowledge that. I can look in that book and recount all those times, like, yeah, you was depressed right there. You was angry right there. You was anxious, but you was depressed right there. Yeah. That's fine. I think that's the beauty. We can stop acting like therapists is like these robots and perfect human beings. Some of us do come from like that work that's stuff that our own stuff we struggle with, and we want to kind of work and help people, heal from that type of stuff. But we're not absolved from any of these mental illnesses or mental health struggles. We're not absolved just because we got some credentials.
Credentials.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're not absolved from that. And I think we have to kind of piece that together. One of the things I had to accept about myself, because I always have said, oh, well, Trey, you had a good life. And Trey, it wasn't that bad. You had both parents. Yeah, they divorced, but you seen this, you seen that. It was fine. It wasn't like somebody else's life who was much worse. They did that. So I just try to say, well, to downplay my experience, because I'm like, I'm not, at least I'm not this, so I'm not going through that. And that person is having a rough time in life. Yeah. So they should get more to glory, more everything like that. And then I had to learn how to accept, yo, bro, you went through some stuff too. Yeah. So it took me to get to that point to even accept that what was going on with me, because for a long time I wouldn't accept it. Yeah. I had a good life, everything was fine. Even sometimes me and my mom talk about it. You had a good life. Yeah, I had a good life, but I seen a lot. Yeah. Seen a lot. Whether it was intentional or not. And learning to accept that my experience is still my experience. I'm not devaluing somebody else's. I'm not putting anybody else's down or doing whatever. My experience. So let me share that, and you can take it how you want to. Like I said, going back to the basketball thing, I wasn't no big name athlete, but I could hoop. But that's still my experience.
Yeah.
It's still my experience, though, and it affected me. So I had to get to that level to accept it.
So emotionally, who would you say you were before writing the book, and who are you now emotionally, looking back?
Depending on which year it is. Because this book doesn't change me emotionally.
Okay.
Never. It doesn't change me emotionally.
So you've accepted who you are?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's part of kind of that finding that piece is accepting who I am. 2018 changed me emotionally.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So these different
Major losses.
Yeah, the major losses changed me emotionally. And you see that in the book. That's what changed me emotionally. The book didn't. It kind of reinforced and told me like, yo, this is what you're feeling, this is what's going on, and still feeling that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now that we're at the present, you're looking to cut back on a lot of things. Explain that.
Again, 2018. 2018 was very pivotal in my life because I started cutting out a lot of things and people and places and things that were not serving me, or that was not.
Define that.
When I say serving me, it's not reciprocal. So if I'm pouring out and you're not pouring back into me, if I'm always depleted when I'm giving to you, whether that's a person, job, whatever, we need to cut ties. It needs to be a transactional relationship in these moments. So I started evaluating that, and then that continued to translate. As of now, I have to scale back. I only have but so much energy and time to give. Prior, I would have tried to overextend myself to do everything and meet everybody's needs and but I can't. I got a family. I got a wife. I got a daughter. I got a child. They come first.
Yeah, congratulations on
Thank
that,
you.
by the way.
Appreciate it. Well, I mean, God first, then it's me, then it's my family, then everybody else.
Yeah.
So if the things that I'm doing is taken away from me and my family, I can't be there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I tell people all the time, I still got to go back home and pick up my little man because he ain't gonna care where I came from or not.
Yeah.
I need a bottle daddy, need my diaper changed, and I'm gonna work your head off till I go to sleep.
Yeah.
No matter what your day was like.
Yeah. And you do it every time.
Every time. Schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, so then that makes relationships sometimes they may feel like, okay, we're not in the same space, you're not checking in, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. And I've seen that most of my relationships that have transpired, but it's like if we can't evolve together, and you can't see that the family piece is number one or the career side is going that way, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing? You can't respect it. I can't give you nothing. I'm not gonna give you a full version of myself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So either way, you're gonna be not getting me anyway. So, yeah.
All right. So, where can the people find you?
Man, you can find me right now. I'm on Twitter. If it still exists after this will come out, I don't know. But retro.
That's where we at right now.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I don't know what's going on, but if it still exists, I'm on there, retro_GT, Instagram, retro_GT, LinkedIn, it's Gary Trey Taylor, licensed clinical social worker. You can go to my website, Refresh VA, to check out the book and other stuff. The book is on Amazon, Books A Million, and Barnes & Noble for sale. And I don't know if any other places that have books that sell it online, it might be on there, but.
All right, so title of the book, Refresh the Journey to Find Peace.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for taking me on your journey.
Yeah.
Let's shake hands.
Yeah. My man, I appreciate you. Always. Yeah. Definitely.
Proud of you, bro.
Yeah, man.
Definitely looking forward to what you do next, man.
Yeah.
This is a good piece of work, though.
Yeah. Yeah. This is my babies. One of my babies, man. But I'm definitely proud of this. The other thing I want to say to this is it's interesting that I found out is that remember I told you I was working to create out of these moments?
Yeah.
Right? What I found out and actually figuring all of this out, when I created You Good fam, Mental Health Keys, Uphold, everything. I'm like, okay, I'm giving this out to the community, to the world, for them to help themselves get things together. When I got to this title, because I made this title refresh about a couple years ago, it really dawned on me when we was recording that this was a succession of books and titles and brands that I was trying to heal myself.
Okay.
So me, my wife, and my Saint, my wife pointed it out first, and I talked to Saint about it. He was like, yeah. But my wife, she was like, maybe you kept saying that all of this was for everybody, which it is.
Yeah.
But maybe you were creating all of this to heal yourself. You didn't even know it. So You Good fam, Mental Health Keys, and it was a period called Feel Good fam.
Yeah.
And then now it's Refresh, the Journey to Find Peace, where we finally have capitalized on everything.
So these are all statements, questions, and reminders that you're posing to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Never knew it.
Never knew it.
Just
work. The work was always
working, but
yeah.
It was bigger than what I thought it was.
Maybe you're your greatest piece of work.
Yeah, maybe so.
And there's something important about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, well, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming through again.
Always, brother.
We'll talk.
Yes, sir.
This has been another special episode. Refresh. I make that a thing.
Yeah. my man. I appreciate you, brother.
Nah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's it. Did a good job.
Yeah.
Let's take one. Appreciate y'all. Thanks.
Peace.